Welcome back to another episode of The Culture, the hottest broadcast in the game. Go to my playlist section. We have already released over 30 episodes and we have an entire playlist dedicated to this series. Now, in this series, we shine a light on who's really committing some of the most heinous crimes in the United States and around the world. This project was inspired by years of me listening to certain conservative voices in the media focus on so-called crime in the black community as if crime was something that was unique to us. So that pushed me to dig deeper into the true crime data, the headlines and the statistics to see where the true criminality is actually coming from. Now let's get into today's episode. Now before we get into today's episode, I want to play a clip from a lawyer. This brother, I believe his name is attorney Brian Stevenson, right? Prominent lawyer in the community, and he was given he was sharing some thoughts on the fact that even though he's a highly decorated lawyer, credentialed, certified, stamped, there's been times that he's walked into the courtroom and he's been mistaken for a defendant. Right? He's been mistaken for a criminal when in reality, he's the legal counsel. He's the defense attorney instead. But because, I guess because he's a black man, they confused him for the defendant. Right? And that's why we had to create this broadcaster culture to see who's really committing some of the most heinous crimes across the country, right? The same way those stereotypes stick to black men, there are other demographics who also deserve certain stereotypes as well, right? And on the culture, we here to reveal that. Now, anyways, before we jump into, obviously, the clip, we're going to jump into the intro, then we're going to jump into the clip, then we're going to jump into today's episode of The Culture, the news stories, the headlines, the calamity in the community. You already know. Let's go.
If you didn't know already, white men make up 29% of the U.S. population, but are accounted for over 77% of the people caught with child. You know what?
What's that? Get away from me now, I'm gonna knock your off, son. Why is he doing this? I just want to leave. I've got my property, I just want to leave. I didn't touch him. Palms together. Why are you guys doing this? I didn't touch him.
I went to Harvard Law School. I've got a lot of degrees and awards. I've won cases at the U.S. Supreme Court, and I've been in courtrooms representing clients, getting there early, sitting at defense counsel's table, where the judge will walk in and immediately get mad at me. The judge will look at me and say, hey, you get back out there in the hallway. I don't want any defendants sitting in my courtroom without their lawyer. And I have to stand up and say, well, I'm sorry, Your Honor. I am the lawyer. I didn't introduce myself. My name is Brian Stevenson. I have to try to de-escalate this situation. And I was doing that recently. I was in a courtroom in the Midwest, and the judge started laughing, but it wasn't an apologetic laugh. And it kind of angered me. And the prosecutor started laughing. They thought it was so funny. And I was sitting there getting angry. And then I thought, oh no, Brian, you can't get angry. You need to smile. You may need to laugh. And I felt that way. I thought that way because my client was not going to be able to leave that county. I was able to leave that county and never come back based on the way I was treated if I chose to do that. But my client was going to have to stay there. So when they were laughing, I smiled. And then I eventually chuckled. Client came in, we did the hearing. But I remember sitting in my car after that hearing thinking, wow, here I am, this middle-aged black man. I'm in my best suit. I actually argued the case at the Supreme Court that we were trying to implement. I've got all of these degrees and awards, and I'm still required to laugh at my own humiliation to do justice for my client. That's not right. That's not fair. And I'm getting old enough to know that when you have to constantly navigate presumptions of dangerousness and guilt because of your color, when you have to tell your children how to survive a police encounter, what to do and what not to do, how they can't do the things that their white friends can do because they're going to be burdened with this presumption, when you have to constantly navigate this world, it's exhausting. And I want something better. I want something better for everybody. And that's why the commitment to truth-telling, the commitment to building institutions that help us understand the harms of history is such a priority.
Now, let's get into today's episode of The Culture. Take a look up on the screen. October 17th, the other day, a Glendale landlord has been found guilty in the fatal shooting of his tenant's boyfriend. Let's get into this story. A Milwaukee jury has convicted a landlord of second-degree reckless homicide in the fatal shooting of a man during an argument earlier this year. John Sweeney was found guilty in connection with the death of Andrew Martin. The dispute began after Martin started dating Sweeney's basement tenant back in February. Sweeney had previously expressed that he did not want any random people specifically Mr. Martin coming to the house. The conflict escalated when Mr. Martin came to the house because he was too intoxicated to drive. During the initial argument, Mr. Sweeney allegedly flashed a gun tucked in his hip. As Mr. Martin tried to leave, Mr. Sweeney allegedly fired a shot into the ground. Now, Mr. Sweeney, that's the landlord to the right, the individual to the right, and the victim is the brother to the left, right? So the brother to the left came to see his girl. His girl had an apartment at this guy's property. So for whatever reason, he did not want Mr. Martin, the victim, at the property, probably for similar reasons why the lawyer at the beginning of the video probably gets questioned if he's a lawyer or a defendant, right? So whatever reason, he doesn't want this guy at his property, even though his girlfriend lives at the property. That's fine. So an argument ensues and somehow Mr. Martin ends up dead. Now let's continue. The victim's girlfriend, the tenant, decided to move out due to the conflict. Later, while the tenant was at the house, Mr. Martin arrived, wanting to talk to Mr. Sweeney. A conversation began that quickly escalated into a deadly confrontation. The most damning evidence came from a FaceTime call that Sweeney was having with a friend at the time of the incident. The friend heard Mr. Sweeney complain about the noise, stating that, "Your arguing is taken away from my peace." The call captured the sounds of tussling, items getting knocked over, and then 2 or 3 gunshots. The friend then heard Mr. Sweeney's voice say, "Bro, he's bleeding out on my garage. I'm gonna call you back." The victim's girlfriend also testified to hearing 3 shots, followed by 3 more shots as she ran for her phone to call 911, right? So this guy let off at least 6 shots. So obviously he was shooting to kill. He was not shooting to neutralize the situation, unfortunately. Rest in peace to the brother. Now let's get into the next story. Next story, October 19th, today, the police arrest a man for drugs and weapons. The suspect, Mr. Ryan Donaker, was initially located by the troopers responding to a report of a man possibly under the influence. When police approached Mr. Donaker in his vehicle to check on his well-being, he immediately fled, driving erratically through a grass field and committing multiple traffic violations. The troopers pursued Mr. Donaker before successfully deploying their stop sticks and deflating his tires, and ultimately bringing the chase to a halt. The situation escalated when Mr. Donaker exited the vehicle holding what appeared to be a handgun. The troopers commanded him to drop the weapon and he complied. The handgun was later determined to be a non-lethal pepperball gun. A search of his vehicle uncovered a large quantity of cocaine, weapons, and $4,700 in cash. Now, listen, law enforcement, please get these guys off the street. Get these scoundrels off the street, selling poison in the community, pulling out weapons on law enforcement. These guys stay pulling out weapons on law enforcement, by the way. These guys have no fear in the face of law enforcement. They'll pull out a damn rifle on the law enforcement, and the law enforcement still won't do nothing. Anyway, let's continue. Next story, October 16th, the other day. A Wisconsin man has been arrested for encouraging the shooting of federal agents on social media. Man, listen, what is wrong with y'all, man? Let's continue. Next story, October 19th, today. A man has been arrested for crimes against minors. It don't stop, man. Never stop. You know it don't stop when it comes to this demographic. You already know what time it is. Let's get into this story, unfortunately. A man is currently in custody facing an overwhelming total of more than 140 felony charges in connection with illegal activity involving minors. The defendant was arrested after an investigation began with the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force received information regarding illegal activity involving young children and the sharing of illegal images and videos involving minors. After serving a search warrant at the residence, the authorities arrested the suspect, who is charged with an extensive list of severe crimes. Now, like I said, I don't even bother doing the challenge anymore. We gave them the challenge 2 days in a row. Go 24 hours without committing a single crime against the children. I learned my lesson. They failed 2 days in a row. I'm not going to embarrass them for the 3rd time. It's going to look crazy if I keep giving y'all the challenge and y'all keep failing. So I'm not even going to do that to y'all. Just forget it. Don't worry about it. Just forget it. Obviously, you're not capable of achieving such a difficult task. I'm sorry. I know, I'm sorry. It's too difficult for you to accomplish. Go 24 hours without touching the children. Silly me for thinking it was possible. Anyway, let's continue. Next story, October 17th, the other day. A man has been arrested for possession of illegal images and videos involving minors. Man, it never stopped. Let's continue. Next story. Next story, October 17th, the other day. A man has been arrested for illegal images and videos involving minors. Jesus the Christ. Let's continue. Next story. October 19th, today. A man beats his ex-girlfriend to a pulp, then lays in the bed with her bloodied and battered body after she brings him a home-cooked meal. Let's get into this story. Tragedy in the community, man. Let's get into it. A Nebraska woman has shared a terrifying story of survival after her ex-boyfriend, Mr. Christopher Collins, allegedly beat, strangled, and kidnapped her before attempting to blow up the entire house with both of them inside. Man, listen, I told y'all, man, y'all different, man. Your community different, right? We blowing up the whole house. Remember last week, the guy got arrested with the explosives and the chemicals inside his house. The FBI and the ATF had to show up at his residence, right? Remember the other guy from Florida started the Palisades fire, destroyed an entire neighborhood, burned down an entire neighborhood, right? Thousands of buildings burned down. Multiple people died. Bro, you guys are different. Kidnapping your girl, threatening to blow up the whole house like Osama bin Laden. Y'all different, bro. Y'all different for real. Let's get into it. The victim, Jessere Beck, said the domestic issues with Collins reached a terrifying extreme. Collins was out on bond for an assault by strangulation from a prior incident when the final attack occurred. You see, like I say, man, they always let these guys out back on the streets, but you never hear any outcry, especially from the conservative grifters, right? The conservative charlatans, that's what we got to call them. You never hear any outcry when it comes to these guys getting let out on violent charges. Now he's back on the streets, kidnapped this girl, threatened to blow up the whole house, murder suicide with both of them inside the house, right? But you're never gonna hear any of these conservative charlatan booty clappers ever make any noise, ever make any statements regarding this criminal being let loose back onto society. Anyway, let's continue. The violence began when Mrs. Beck went to Collins' residence. Miss Beck told the local outlet that after being knocked unconscious during the attack, she woke up kidnapped in a different property with no memory of what happened. Miss Beck suffered massive injuries to her head, her face, her ribs, and her back. Even her brain was bleeding. Mr. Collins allegedly told Miss Beck that her injuries were really bad this time compared to prior assaults, and he did not want to look her in the face. Now, time out, hold up, man. So instead of taking her to a hospital, instead of rendering aid, right, this lady, on the floor, her brain is bleeding, probably got multiple facial fractures. And instead of rendering any aid, he's sitting there like, man, I really beat your ass real bad this time. I can't even look at you. He was like, listen, I beat you so bad, I don't even want to look at what I did, right? That's how bad it is, right? So he was basically poking fun at her, right? She on the floor half dead, and he's basically cracking jokes about how he beat her ass the most he ever beat her ass in history. Didn't we talk about on previous episodes how these guys have a strange sense of humor, right? You beat a woman half to death and you cracking jokes about it. These guys have a strange sense of humor, man. They find humor in some strange activities. This demographic is very, like I said, they're the weirdos of the human race. Let's continue. Mr. Collins allegedly alternated between asking Miss Beck to slit his throat and threatening to kill you and then I'll kill myself. The incident reached a climax when the SWAT teams and authorities busted into their property. Miss Beck stated that Mr. Collins was using a natural gas line to try and blow up the property with both of them inside, an act that she believes would have also taken out the surrounding properties, right? So this guy was not only going to blow up his own, property, but all the surrounding properties would have also been exploded as collateral damage, right? So due to a domestic issue that he's having with this girl, right, he beat his girl half to death and decided that I'm gonna blow up the entire apartment complex. And who knows, there might be innocent children, innocent families in those properties, in those apartments, but he don't care about that. We blowing up the entire area like a kamikaze insurgent. Like I said, they let these criminals back onto the streets. Nobody says anything. The conservative grifters don't say anything. And imagine if this guy would have detonated his own property with all the surrounding properties included simply because he was upset with his girlfriend, right? So if I'm his neighbor and I'm just minding my business inside my own home, now I have to also die or be injured or suffer, possible, consequences because of what you got going on with your girl. Man, you guys are goofies. Let's continue. As law enforcement was attempting to enter the property, Mr. Collins allegedly grabbed a glass bottle and slammed it on Miss Beck's head, then got on top of her and tried to strangle her. The SWAT team intervened, taking Mr. Collins down as he was strangling Miss Beck. Mr. Collins faces multiple charges, including kidnapping, terroristic threats, and the use of a weapon to commit a felony, and reportedly faces life in prison. Now, next story, October 16th, the other day. A man has been arrested for illegal images and videos involving minors. Now, time out. Now, every demographic has their stereotypes, whether good or bad, but it really, it boggles my mind how these guys have been able to avoid the PDF stereotype, especially due to how they dominate, the field. But, it's crazy how through imagery, propaganda, and marketing and the minimization of certain stories, they've been able to avoid that stereotype, right? It's crazy how you can dominate a sector of criminality at almost 80% and not be branded as a stereotype, right? But we have, black lawyers, award-winning lawyers who are being confused as defendants, but we don't have these individuals being confused as PDFs due to the excellent branding and marketing and promotion and propaganda they conduct for themselves. So I salute you guys. In the arena of propaganda, you guys are very good in that arena of propaganda, but the reality is much, much more sinister. Now, anyway, let's continue. Next story, October 15th, the other day, a man has been arrested for crimes against minors. Let's get into it. An Indiana man is being held on a $100,000 bond after being arrested for illegal activity involving minors by the Indiana Department of Child Services. The sheriff's office arrested Mr. Joshua Webb following an investigation that began last month. The deputies say that illegal activity against a minor allegedly occurred on several occasions, and the young victim was told to keep the incidents a secret. Mr. Webb denied the allegations upon his arrest and requested a lawyer. Let's continue. Next story. Man, you guys are ridiculous with the crimes against the children. Man, listen, I pray for the children in your community. Truly, I really do. Everybody thinks that your community is sunshine and rainbows and all that glitters is gold. But truly, when you peel back the layers and look at the reality, man, your children really need to be, seeking asylum in foreign countries with the way they live in the United States, man. God damn. I mean, never ending terror upon the children, bro. Like, you don't stop. You're a machine. You don't stop. Let's continue. Next story. A mother cut her daughter's throat and then put a trash bag on top of her head and has been acquitted of murder, right? Now, let's take a look at this story. So this lady done assassinated, just destroyed, slaughtered her own daughter and somehow beat the case. Let's get into this one. A Texas mother is accused in the shocking murder of her 5-year-old daughter and has been found not guilty by reason of insanity. Melissa Town allegedly confessed to killing her own daughter, Nicole Bradshaw, in October 2022. Due to the verdict, Miss Town will be committed to a state mental facility for the duration of her prison sentence. Prosecutors revealed terrifying details of the attack. The 5-year-old pleaded with her mother, saying, "I've been a good child," as she fought for her life. The mother slit the child's throat and, upon realizing the child was still alive, wrapped the girl's head in a trash bag, suffocating her for up to 40 minutes. The mother then drove to a hospital where an ER nurse found the young girl deceased inside a mesh laundry bag on the floorboard of the passenger side of the SUV with the plastic bag still over her head. The authorities reported that the mother, who has a history of mental illness, told investigators that she believed that her daughter was evil and compared her to a movie character. Now, as you can see, unfortunate tragedy in the community, 5-year-old girls being strangled and their throats being slit and unfortunately being suffocated to death for 40 minutes. Now, here's the thing. In the unfortunate case of Irina Zarutska, where that suspect was also a victim of schizophrenia, also suffered from schizophrenia, I remember, a lot of the conservative talking head grifters, they did not accept that explanation when it came out that he was diagnosed schizophrenic, right? They blamed it on his race, right? They said he was not schizophrenic. They said he was black. So why should I give them the benefit of the doubt? Why should I give this lady the benefit of the doubt? She did not do this because she was schizophrenic. She did it because she's white, right? She did it because of her race, right? Just like the conservatives, the same reasoning and logic, right? When the black man commits a crime because he's schizophrenic, that's not acceptable. That's not an acceptable answer, right? It's because he's black. So the same thing applies to you. She did it because she's a white woman. I'm going with the same logic as the conservative. It's only right. It's only fair. It's called the law of reciprocity, right? I don't buy your mental illness garbage, right? The same way you don't accept it from me, right? So why should I accept it from you? Let's continue. Next story. A daughter went shopping after thinking that she killed both of her parents for evicting her, but her mother survived. Let's get into this one. A Florida woman has been sentenced to 2 life sentences for the murder of her father and the attempted murder of her mother. Miss Christina Adams was told that she needed to move out of the residence, and she confessed she was angry and retrieved a large kitchen knife and attacked both of the parents, stabbing them multiple times. Now, what is going on in the community? Mother killing daughter, daughter killing mother and father. Let's continue. What Miss Adams did not know is that her father was still alive. He managed to call for help, identifying his attacker as his daughter, a statement that he repeated to the authorities before succumbing to his injuries. Her mother also survived the attack. Miss Adams confessed after the attack, believing that both of her parents were dead, that she attempted to destroy the evidence, changed her clothes, and then left the scene to go shopping. Damn, don't even care about mama and dad, went straight to the mall to cash out, right? Went straight to the mall to cash out. Mama and dad eliminated. Now it's time to party. I don't understand this community. Like I said, no respect for the elders. They be cursing at the elders. They be killing the elders. They be smacking the elders. You remember that one story? The dude walked up to his grandmother and gave his grandmother an open-handed slap across the face because he was angry, right? He was angry because she said something he didn't like, so he smacked her, then he stabbed her to death, right? Listen, no respect for the elders in this community. I don't understand. I don't understand this culture. No love for the elders at all. Let's continue. Now, this is not a news story, but it is related to what we talk about on the channel, right? It's actually about a law. Lawmakers are putting something on the books, right? Take a look at this headline. Senators are introducing legislation to address the rise of AI-generated illegal images and videos involving minors. Now, on the culture, if you've been watching this series, we've discussed a number of cases, especially recently in the past week. We discussed at least 3 or 4 cases. Even one of them involved the Charlie Kirk pastor guy, right? He got caught with the AI-generated illegal images and videos involving minors. So what these guys would do is they would take photos of children that exist in real life. So one guy even took photos of children on his sports teams. And what they would do is they would put it through artificial intelligence, through AI or Adobe Photoshop or some of these programs to then transform an image from an innocent photo of a child to illegal images and videos involving illegal activity involving minors, right? So just in the past week alone, we discussed multiple cases, right? A pastor, a computer technician, right? A bunch of recent stories of these guys putting photos through AI for illegal activity. So now lawmakers have to put laws on the books. What did I tell you? These guys are such degenerates that lawmakers have to come put laws on the books in order to protect their children. Just like they put laws on the books regarding how they used to go overseas. Remember, they had to put international extraterritorial laws on the books because a certain demographic of men was traveling to developing countries, was going to, Thailand, was going to Singapore, was going to the Gambia, was going to Kenya, was going to Haiti, was going to the Ivory Coast, right? And engaging in illegal activity involving minors. So much so that it actually became a liability for the United States government, right? It actually became an international scandal for the United States government and other Western nations as well, because their citizens, a particular demographic of their citizens, had a habit of going overseas for tourism, quote unquote, right? Tourism, but during their tourism, they would be engaging in illegal activity involving minors. So they had to put laws on the books to prosecute citizens who go overseas for illegal activity. So now they have to put laws on the books once again, because these guys are taking photos of children, putting it through artificial intelligence to create custom-made illegal images and videos involving minors. You guys are such degenerates. You guys are such sick individuals and depraved individuals that lawmakers of the United States and around the world have to put laws on the books because you are such degenerates. Now, anyway, let's continue. Pennsylvania Senators Tracy Pennicuck, Scott Martin, and Lisa Baker have introduced a new bill, a comprehensive legislation aimed at protecting the children from the rapidly growing and the startling increase of AI-generated illegal images and videos involving minors. You see that? The startling increase, the growing phenomenon, the epidemic, right? Like I said, you have a certain demographic of men. I'm not going to say no names. 29% of the population, almost 80% of the offenses when it comes to the exploitation of children, right? So I wonder who the lawmakers are talking about when they're talking about the growing and startling increase of illegal images and videos generated by artificial intelligence. I wonder who's behind this. Let's continue. I wonder which demographic is responsible for this criminality. Let's get into it. The senators emphasize that the bill is necessary because the tools that criminals use are constantly changing and evolving, right? Listen, you guys are in the future. Like I told you guys before, this is your space. You guys were the first to the market. You guys dominate the production, the distribution, and the consumption. Almost 70% of all illegal images and videos was produced by your demographic, the men of your demographic. That means without you, the industry wouldn't even exist. The only reason the industry exists is because of you, right? Judging by the numbers, almost 80% of the offenders. Lawmakers have to come and put laws on the books every 10 years to evolve with the times because you're always stepping into the future and revolutionizing your criminality. Now let's continue. The core of the bill is the expansion of mandated reporting requirements to ensure that all instances of this material are reported regardless of origin. The bipartisan proposal would require key professionals to report all instances of illegal content regarding minors that they become aware of, from teachers, childcare workers, and healthcare providers. This requirement specifically includes material produced by minors. Senator Baker stressed that the bill is essential as a first step toward targeting those who find new ways of targeting children. Like I said, man, you guys are always coming up with new tactics, new methods of engaging in the criminality, right? You guys are coming out with like the new iPhone every 10 years, right? The new model, the new technology, right? Now you guys are using AI, right? AI technology, man. First, I remember back in the dial-up days, you guys were the first to the market back when personal computers first started coming into American homes, right? First to the market. Then it became the social media apps, right? Then you guys moved on to other places like Kik and Telegram and Dropbox and things like that. Now you guys have moved on to AI, artificial intelligence, right? So now you can see a child on the street, right? Take a photo of a child on the street and then put it through AI for your sick and twisted fantasies, right? One guy got time in federal prison for that, right? They said one guy went to the beach and he was hiding behind the bushes, taking photos of children at the beach and putting the photos to AI. Like I said, man, you guys, and like I said, of course, it was the usual suspects, but man, you guys are on another level with this, man, where lawmakers have to come in and have meetings like every 2 years. You know, lawmakers got to have constant meetings just to keep up with the new criminality, right? Like, what is this demographic doing now? The AI? Like, man, you guys are on another level. On another level. Let's continue. Next story. The Seminole County deputies shoot and kill a suspect that was being investigated for illegal images and videos involving minors. Oh, let's get into this. They done killed one of y'all? Oh, shit. They done popped one of y'all. They done killed one of these boys. Let's get into this one. That's crazy. A Seminole County deputy fatally shot a suspect who was being investigated for illegal activities. The suspect drew a weapon on law enforcement who was attempting to serve a search warrant. Like I said, every single day, search warrant being executed on your residence. Now, this guy said, listen, I ain't going to jail. I ain't going to jail, brother. You're going to have to get me dead or alive with the illegal images and videos involving minors. I'm going to die about the illegal videos. See, when it came to this guy, he felt so strongly, so deeply about the illegal images and videos, man, that he would be willing to go to war for the illegal images and the videos. Let's continue. Mr. Gary Guckenberger, that's the suspect, was a retired firefighter. The sheriffs confirmed that the investigation began with a tip that led to a search warrant at his residence. The authorities seized his devices and found a massive collection of illegal materials, which included bondage and the most horrific examples of crimes against children and neglect against children that any human being could ever imagine. Mr. Guckenberger came out of his house using a walker and walked to the middle of the driveway. The sheriff stated that Mr. Guckenberger immediately reached into his waistband, pulling out a revolver and raised it at the deputies. Mr. Guckenberger ignored the commands to drop the weapon. The deputies fired, shooting and killing the suspect. Now, listen, if you're gonna die, if you feel so strongly and passionately about the illegal images and videos that you're willing to die and go to war and have a shootout with the deputies, brother, that's not worth dying over, man. Your family, that's worth dying over. Your girl, that's worth dying over. Your mama, your dad, your grandmother, your sisters, your brothers, your family, like I said, that's worth dying over. Your country, that's worth dying over, right? Your respect, your liberty and independence, that's worth dying over. The illegal images and videos involving minors, that is not worth dying over. But I understand, like I said, when you're 29% of the population and almost 80% of the offenses, this is a deep fabric of your culture. So I understand you feel deeply about it because when it's a cultural practice, obviously, you know, people feel deeply about their culture. Anyway, let's continue. You know what's crazy? This recent case actually reminds me of a case that happened a couple years ago. I don't know if you remember when a couple FBI agents actually got shot and killed in a shootout when they were executing a search warrant on this guy's residence down in Florida. Also, you already know, usual suspect engaged in the usual activities, right? And they were coming to, you know, obviously come arrest this guy. And similar to this situation, he said, listen, I ain't going, right? I'm not going to jail. I'm not going. When it comes to the illegal images, I'm going to die for this. So he pulled out an assault rifle and blew down the FBI agents, right? Because they came to arrest him because he had illegal images and videos on his computer. Anyway, let's get into that story. That story was crazy, man. Y'all crazy, bro. Y'all crazy, bro. Let's continue. 2 FBI agents were tragically killed when executing a search warrant on a suspect's residence in Sunrise, Florida. The target of the search warrant was Mr. David Lee Huber, a man under investigation for possession of illegal images and videos involving minors. The attack was a brutal ambush. The authorities believe Mr. Huber used his doorbell camera to locate the FBI agents approaching the apartment. He then opened fire with an assault-style rifle through the door. 3 additional FBI agents were also wounded during the attack. Both Agent Alfin and Agent Schwarzenberger were specialists in combating crimes against children. Their deaths mark one of the deadliest days in the history of the FBI. After the gunfire, Mr. Huber, the suspect, barricaded himself inside his apartment before ultimately taking his own life. Man, listen, you guys going out in blazes of glory for the illegal images and videos involving the minors. Listen, you guys know what you're doing is wrong. That's why when the police come, you open fire, right? Because you know what you're doing is wrong. If you knew what you was doing was perfectly fine, when the police come, you would allow them in, you would sit them down, you would talk to them, have a civil conversation. But because you know you are living a dirty, despicable life, right? When the police come, you open in fire because you don't want to take accountability. I told you these guys are allergic to accountability, right? Oh, it's not white men doing it. It's the radical left. It's not white men doing it. It's all men doing it. It's not white men doing it. Always looking to deflect from their bullshit, right? So when the police come to hold you accountable, you pulling out the assault rifle, right? You pulling out the revolver. You taking your own life, barricading yourself inside the building. Bro, you guys are clowns. Anyways, next story. October 17th, the other day, a football coach delivers an emotional apology after his son is accused of filming middle school boys undressing. Right now, we spoke about this story some episodes ago, right? This guy right here, a teacher, he got caught, as you can see, doing what he was doing. And his father is actually a coach at the school. So he's a teacher at the school, but his father is a coach at the school. So his father had to come defend the family name. His father had to apologize to the faculty and the staff and the parents and the student body because his son was out here trying to obtain illegal images and videos involving minors while on the clock at school as a teacher, right? As a teacher, right? Man, crazy. Embarrassing your father. One of the worst things in my life, one of the worst feelings is embarrassing your parents, disappointing your parents, especially as a young boy, especially as a boy, disappointing your father, especially. It's not too many worse feelings in the world than disappointing your father. From experience, I'm telling you, it's not a good feeling when you know your father is disappointed in what you did, man. But I never disappointed my father at this level, right? I never did nothing like this, right? Illegal images and videos involving minors. I never did nothing like this, right? But wow. Embarrassing the family, destroying the family name. Now your father got to come embarrass himself in front of everybody. Let's get into the clip, man.
Coach and teacher was arrested for recording students while in a locker room.
Trevor Zahaki joins us live from the newsroom. Trevor, this coach is also the son of longtime head football coach Bill Elliott, who is an institution in the Salina community.
Yeah, he is, Madison, and parents are furious with the district and the school board, many telling them directly last night they expected better from leadership. Now, head coach Bill Elliott apologized to the community and said his son, Caleb Elliott, should be held accountable to the results of the investigation.
My heart is broken all over.
30 seconds.
I'm sorry. I will do all I can to make sure that justice prevails, that things are done right, and I hope you understand that.
According to a newly obtained arrest warrant, investigators say 26-year-old Caleb Elliott, a Salina Middle School football coach and teacher, recorded several boys in the locker room during school hours. The warrant lists 12 pictures recovered from Elliott's phone, showing young boys in various states of dress and undress. The warrant says the photos meet the criteria of child pornography.
Now, yes, it's been another great episode of The Culture, another excellent episode. Once again, the criminality never stops. Pray for their children. Like I said, it's bad when lawmakers have to consistently come back and put laws on the books, come back and put new laws on the books, update the old laws because the old laws are ineffective because they got new tactics. Bro, you guys are constantly making the lawmakers have to constantly adjust to what you're doing. And that's crazy. That's crazy. They got to put new laws for artificial intelligence on the books because instead of using artificial intelligence for something positive, for something productive, right, that can actually contribute to humanity, you're using artificial intelligence to destroy humanity and destroy children. That is crazy. And somehow you still believe that you maintain the moral high ground to lay judgment upon me or anybody else. Listen, ain't nobody dominating in PDF offenses going to tell me about anything regarding anything. you know, you got to get that chomo culture in order. You know what I mean? You got to get that chomo culture. You want to talk about black culture, we got to talk about your chomo culture as well. But anyways, I'm not going to be here too long, man. It's your boy Nepakari, that's Celine, back in the Billy, yes indeed. Second single off the next project, The Spy in Bamako. Pin a comment at the top, link in the description. Subscribe to the Patreon, NTD1814, and I'm gone. Peace. Feel like they see me, I feel like I'm Saudi or ran up on Yana in the middle of Bamako. Enemy line, they claiming he innocent. Don't do no talking, I gotta move militant. Don't do no talking, I hit them with facts. 1804, bringing it back. 1804 like I'm Mother Cap Henry. King with the vision, the crown never empty. Top of the mountain, my soldiers defend me. Ducking and dodging the foreign intelligence. Hitting my dance on the DGSE. Dodging they traps, still on my feet. Feeling impeccable, feel like I'm shining. Go to my neck and I'm flooded with diamonds. Go to my neck and I feel like a mess. Feel like a lion, I'm in a savannah. Feel like the king when I'm up in the jungle. Never defeated, I never been humble. Come out victorious every encounter. Money machine give me help when I count it. Money machine stack it up in a beat. Heart of a king and I ride for the team. Weight of the world got it stuck on my shoulders. Bet you can feel it, my heart getting colder. Yeah, gotta stay focused so when it's in shots I gotta react. Cause I'm a target, I'm under attack. Grabbing a weapon, I tell her get back. Mission exposed, secrets unfold. Enemy try but I'm still in control. Got your boy sitting in Bamako prison. Hoping they wish we sending them home. Enemy know that we good under pressure. Been through the thunderous turbulent storm. Shorty a diamond, I told her she pressure. Hop in a whip and I'm taking her home. Hop in a whip and I'm swerving, I'm smashed. Killing my enemies, one of my passion. Rocking this gold like we in bikini. Feel like the captain, I'm clutching a heater. Yeah, gotta stay focused so when it's in shots I gotta react. Cause I'm a target, I'm under attack. Grabbing a weapon, I tell her get back. Mission exposed, secrets unfold. Enemy try but I'm still in control. Got your boy sitting in Bamako prison. Hoping they wish we sending them home. Enemy know that we good under pressure. Been through the thunderous turbulent storm. Shorty a diamond, I told her she pressure. Hop in a whip and I'm taking her home. Hop in a whip and I'm swerving, I'm smashed. Killing my enemies, one of my passion. Rocking this gold like we in bikini. Feel like the captain, I'm clutching a heater.